Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we'll be talking about Conan the Barbarian, issue number 4 by Jim Sub, Rob Del Toro, Dean White, and Rick Starkings. Again, same team as before. They have been doing a great job. However, this team is going to change here in issue 5 because Jim Sub is still going to be the writer, and I'm guessing that Rick Starking is still going to be the letterer, but I'm not sure about the artist and the colorist because the artist is going to be switched with Doug Raithbrick, I think is his name. And I'm guessing that he's going to bring a different colorist with him. However, that might not be the case. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. But Doug is going to be the artist for the next 4 issues, which is the second arc. And then after that, Rob is going to come back. Then Doug is going to come back after that. And then after that, they're unsure what's going to happen, at least based on a tweet that Jim Sub shared with me, right? So that's what's happening there. But this is the end of the first arc, which is the Bound in Black Stone arc. So this is the short story, and I'm guessing, or at least I hope so, that when they collect this, they give us a written version of this by Jim Sub, where it's the story, and so you can read the story or you can read the comic book. I think that would be really great, and you put it into the trade. I think that would be amazing, but I'm not really sure that that's something they're gonna do, right? But I would like it. I think it'd be nice. And overall, I think this was a great end to the story. However, I was experiencing a bit of confusion in one of the plot points here, and I'll explain it when I get there. But I do find that is a little bit of a negative, a little bit of a black mark on the otherwise perfect reintroduction of Conan into the comic books here, right? So it kind of sucks. And I'm not really sure what it is. I think it might be an art thing, where the artist wasn't really aware what he was drawing. Or it might be an issue with Jim Sub not communicating that correctly. I'm not really sure. I'm not going to blame anyone. But it is definitely a situation that makes it a little bit confusing, that to me does make it seem like they weren't completely there for this issue. And it kind of sucks because it is a really important part of the story. So that's why it kind of bothers me so much. But overall, it was still a really good issue, and I really liked the ending. And it was a really great Conan story overall. So I liked it. So let's get into it. So it starts with Conan sinking alongside the Skull Priest into these murky waters. There's these tendrils that are coming out, and they grab the Skull Priest, or the Skull-Faced Priest, and they drag him into the depths, and they attempt to do the same thing with Conan. However, something lets him go, something happens, and he ends up in this purgatory, similar to how when Harry dies at the hands of Voldemort, he ends up in the train station. It is kind of the same idea, where he kind of just ends up in this nebulous, endless place. And he is met by an apparition. And this apparition happens to be Brule, the Spear Slayer, who was the right hand of Cole, who is a direct antecedent or a direct predecessor of Conan. And we also have that referenced here directly. And I also think it was really great that we got Brule instead of Cole. I think that is a really good choice. I'm not really sure how to vocalize why, but I think that the story has been focused so much on Conan's interaction with Pix, and I think that it is ultimately for the best that the character that helps him, because it can't be Brizza, should be another Pict. And what other Pict is there besides Brule at this time? None. So I think that is the best choice. I think Brant McMorn is another character, and he's also a Pict, but he's also from the future. So I think that it was a great choice to involve Brule, the Spear Slayer here. I thought it was enlightened. I think it was a great choice, and I liked it a lot. However, this is where the confusion starts to set in, because Brule tells Conan where they are. A place that is neither made nor unmade, a place that is not here nor there. It is purgatory, basically, right? And Conan sees that Brule has a sword just like the one he has, and Brule explains it to him. He tells him, this sword is special. It was once tied to my spear. It was my spear, basically. So he made a spear sword, basically, by tying the sword to a stick and carrying that like it is, right? And that feels terribly unbalanced, but for the sake of coolness, I will allow it. And he tells them about the time that he went into this dark land that was always in nighttime, even though it should have been daylight. And he talks about going here and being offered sanctuary and a feast by these Pictish people that live there. And it turns out that it was all a lie. because they think that the black stone will feed them. And so they go visit this black stone, and at this black stone they see a carving of a figure. The figure is not defined, but it is still wholly real, like it is there. And the figure has a piercing stare, so piercing that it causes the Pictish people around Brule that are not with him to remove their humanity from themselves, become these lizard people, or these snake men, actually, snake priests. And it attempts to cast the same spell on Brule. However, his Pictish vigor, his soul, allows him to remain. And so, using this special sword that he has, he manages to take on all of these snake men, right? Because his sword is special, it has been blessed or something, and it has the power to kill living things as well as undead things. And so, he uses it for it, and then he throws a spear. And when he throws a spear, he throws it at the stone, and then lightning comes from the sky, breaking the stone with it, and unleashing or removing this darkness from the world. However, as far as I understand it, based on the way that it's narrated, the spear is supposed to have the sword. However, he has the sword in his hand while he throws the spear. So I'm not sure what this means. It is confusing, and it is not clear whether the spear or the stone or the sword are the reason why this happens. There's also no explanation about the godly interference here, although it's not necessarily important to bring it up because Conan is helped by wizards and gods all the time. It's not a big important deal, right? But the fact that it's unclear whether the sword attached to the spear was the thing that made the lightning come down, or if it was just the user of the sword striking at the stone was what made the situation happen. Being unclear is not great. I did not like this because it is a hugely important plot point to the end of the story, and the fact that it's unclear is bad. I don't like that. However, broadly speaking, it is not that important because ultimately we understand Conan has the tool that was used to remove this darkness from the world, and so he will be able to do so. And he has the blessing of Brule, and through him, the blessing of Cole, who is his predecessor, right? So he is of the same lineage, so he has the power to do so. Understandable, but still a little bit of a black mark there on this story. So Conan returns to the world of the living. He grasps the sword with all of his Cimmerian vigor, and he starts hacking at the tendrils, even through the water. And then he sinks deeper because he knows he's never going to reach the surface, and so he digs. He swims deeper. He digs deeper. He finds the center of this evil, and he strikes it with a sword. And so when he strikes it with a sword, which is different from what Brule did, lightning comes from the sky through the water towards the sword and into the place where Conan stabbed the center of this evil, and he is launched out into the sky, and the evil is destroyed by this godly lightning. And so he ends up on the shore, and Heidalan manages to help him get up and get ready to deal with all of the snake men, lizard men, whatever you want to call them, that are now attacking them. And so they slowly but surely make their way out of this crumbling tower, and eventually, after much battle and really cool action sequences, manage to leave and come out barely alive, right? But still kicking. And so they are picked up by the rest of the Cimmerian men and are helped along. Conan asks where Brizza is, and it turns out that Brizza went back into the stone tower in order to find Conan, and she never made it back out. And so ultimately, as is the case with most women that Conan loves, she died before he could, truly have time with her. And this is a very sad, very meaningful end to the story. Then we have a little bit of a time skip here where a party of Asgardians come down from their country through Cimmeria and end up in the same area that Conan and the Cimmerians were at. They see that there is obviously a battle here, but there's really good resources to gather. And so they do, because that's what these traders do. And what happens is that one of them ends up finding a piece of this inky black stone that was what made up the tower. And it turns out that he kind of gets possessed by something. And so that is where the story ends for now. And overall, really amazing, really wonderful, a great story. But that little bit of confusion there with the stone and the spear and the sword really made me upset when I was first reading it, because it's like, dude, you're doing so great. How can you let something so simple kind of end up unclear? And that sucks. However, I can totally say that it might be my own personal thing, and it might be that no one else noticed this, or no one else was confused by this. But I'm not really sure. I haven't really looked at anyone else's reviews yet, because I wanted to do mine first. However, I think that it is confusing, and I think it's going to be something that's going to confuse other people. And if it is the case that it does confuse other people, it sucks that they did so good, and then at the last second they kind of fumbled the bag a little bit. But it's not that big of a deal. It's just something that I noticed, and because I noticed it, it's going to bother me for a while. So hopefully they might fix that. All they have to do is change the design of Brule's sword a little bit, and make it so that the spear looks like the sword, and that might fix all of the problems. But I don't know if they will. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on Conan number 4, the end of the first arc, and I can't wait for arc 2. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought down below, and thank you guys so much for watching, and see you guys later.